After looking at Hong Kong, let's take a look at another country in the world. We're going to look at an industry in the cat world that arose from assisting cat guardians in resolving cat behavioral issues. Now, let's dive into what Dr. Marcy Koski is doing to assist cat guardians in the United States.
Thank you so much. It's always good to know animal services industry. It's overseas, so we know the problems that are being addressed in the pet world over there. And in this segment, we'll hear from Dr. Marcy Koski, and she is the founder of Feline Behavior Solutions. Thanks so much for being with us.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me here again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Koski. And just a little bit about her. She's not only the founder of Feline Behavior Solutions, which is a cat behavior consulting business, she's also the member of the board of directors for Furry Friends, which is a no kill cats only rescue that is in Southwest Washington. Woo! Thanks so
Yes.
much. Once again,
Yes.
good to see you again. Looking good as always.
Thank you. Thank
So let's
you.
go right into it so we can learn a bit more from you and about what you do and how you help the cats over there. So let's start about, I guess something that everybody wants to learn about is how to become better cat parents. What are some of the most common, but also subtle cues or signals that that's give their humans and we overlook it?
Yeah, a lot of people have a problem petting their cats or holding their cats. They struggle or they scratch and want to get away.
Mm.
And I think people don't recognize easily the signs that cats are giving us to tell us when they've had enough.
Ah,
Sometimes it has to be very overt, like a scratch or turning around and hissing or something like that.
yeah.
But if we're paying attention,
Mm,
we can see that cats use their body language very subtly to
mm,
try to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and I'd like you to respond in a certain way. For example, say we're petting our cat, pet, 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 pet,
mm.
and we don't notice, but our cat has made a slight shift in her body posture away from us. That's something
Oh.
that not a lot of people notice. But if she moves away, that might be an indication that she's had enough, even though she
Mm.
still might be sitting on your lap.
Right.
If she's had enough, the ears might twist around to face you, go back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or now this is maybe not so subtle. The cat is like, "Hey, I've been trying to tell you that I've had enough."
Mm.
They'll look around at you and say, "Yes, we're done." So these are subtle signs that humans often overlook
Mm.
when we're interacting with our cats. But cat behavior in terms of their communication preferences tends to be pretty subtle. So observation is really important.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. For somebody who's struggling to understand their cat's behavior or language, what is the first step that they can do in terms of bridging this communication gap?
Yeah. Really taking time to observe your cat and figure out the question shouldn't be, what can I do? What can my cat do for me?
Mm,
But more, what can I do for my cat? And one of the best things you can do for your cat is to simply give them space and observe. Is
right.
my cat happy right now? Is my cat content right now? Does my cat need something right now?
Mm,
So it's not necessarily calling your cat over or going over to the cat and petting without observing first whether or not your cat might even not want to be petted.
mm.
So taking into consideration what your cat might be wanting versus what you might be wanting, and then bridging that with observation is really important.
Yeah, because you know how cats have the reputation of being like aloof or even like mysterious. You hear that all the time. Do you think that's a misconception?
I do think cats are mysterious.
Mm,
I don't think they're necessarily aloof, though.
mm,
And they're only mysterious because cats people don't really understand them as much as we want to. So, that's something that we can improve upon with our individual cats.
mm.
Uh, but cats have a very different way of communicating to humans than dogs do, and I think people are really, really attuned to dogs and the way that they communicate, and they almost expect cats to interact with humans and communicate with humans the same way, and we
Yeah.
have to keep reminding people, cats are not small dogs. Cats and humans have a very different evolutionary history together
Hmm.
when you compare that to the evolutionary history of dogs and humans.
Right.
So that's much longer, much more cooperative, much more integrated than the relationship between humans and cats historically. So it's all part of the package.
Right.
Cats are not small dogs.
Yeah,
And that's
I
why
know.
I think we think they're aloof.
Yeah, it's the second time I heard it. As silly as it sounds, but a lot of people actually do think that way. They're not small
Yeah.
dogs. But going back to what you're saying, when we see that cats are trying to be like avoidant or distant, what is it that they're trying to say?
I don't know if it's I think cats are very much into, "Hey, I like my own space,"
Mm.
sometimes,
Yeah.
but sometimes I also like to be petted. But again, when you compare dogs and cats, I think the contrast is very different, and I think we expect our cats to act like dogs, and that's what when they don't, we say that they're aloof or distant, when
Mm.
really, we might just flip the script and say, "Gosh, dogs are needy, humans are annoying." It's all your perspective, and I think that dogs, hey, they wanna do what pleases their human. "What can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do
Yes.
for you?" Cats are all about themselves.
Mm.
"What's in it for me? What's in it for me?"
That's very interesting. It's like in office setting, right? There's some people that's team players, and there's people who got their headphones on. They don't really talk to you, but they're very good at their job, and they don't just want to
Absolutely.
socialize. And then there's the people that's always asking you for help. Like it's very interesting. It's the same in the human world, but we have a hard time understanding that when it comes to our pets,
Yes.
which leads to something else that I want to talk about with you is how can observing cats teach us about respecting and setting these boundaries in our own human relationships.
I think it's really all about empathy.
Mm,
Once you begin to understand that there's a being outside of yourself that has their own needs, their own wants, their own desires, their own preferences, and then you respect those things,
yeah,
we begin to see, oh gosh, other living entities have the same things that I have. And so
right.
it makes us more aware of other people's needs, desires, preferences. And I think when we recognize those things in other people, we become better friends, better coworkers, better partners. And a lot of that can be learned simply by giving not just cats, but our animals
Mm.
respect for choices that they need to make and want to make in their own environment. And I think animals are great teachers for learning about empathy.
Because we don't share a common verbal language. So we have to look for the other nuance, other body languages to see what it is that they're thinking. I remember somebody once said, you know how cats understand our emotions despite the fact
Mhm.
that we didn't say anything? Sometimes when we're crying to a movie and they think we're
Yeah,
upset and they're trying to soothe us. Do you think
absolutely.
it's because they can see everything else? It's kind of like, when people are blind, they're very attenuated to their other senses. Is
Yeah.
it the same when it comes to us and animals like that, right?
I agree. I think that human cats are very tuned into their humans' emotions and state of mind. I think that they pick up on changes, even
Mm,
subtle changes in our own body language.
yeah.
So they can tell when we're tense, anxious, upset, when we're afraid, laid back, feeling happy. And
Mm.
they often mirror those emotions back to us. I think that they look to us as part of their family group, and if we're on edge, they're gonna be on edge. I definitely think that there's some shared emotional language between cats and humans.
In terms of patience and observation, how can taking this time to understand their behaviors provide better insight to our human to human communication?
Well, you can take lessons from how you've learned to communicate with your cats
Mm,
because not everybody speaks the same language,
mm,
but a lot of times people have the same kind of body language. We carry ourselves the same way. Tone is really important.
yeah.
Cats pick up on tone of voice really easily. I really do think that there are some parallels in terms of learning how to communicate with a species that's not your own versus learning to communicate with other people. Just think about autistic people
Mm.
and some of the different ways that they communicate. And so we have to be very observant to figure out how can we best put forth our messages and what we're trying to say, and how can we really reach out to make sure that we're understanding everybody else the way that they are meant to be understood.
It just makes us better people overall. It
Yeah.
definitely made me a more patient person after having
Yes.
a bunch of cats.
Yes.
So now back to your business, Feline Behavior Solutions, which is a consultancy for cat related problems. Do you see any emerging businesses where you're helping people become better pet parents? That's like what you're doing?
There are more and more cat behavior consulting businesses coming on every week, which is really wonderful because I think cats are really underrepresented in
Mm,
terms of getting help in the United States. We
yeah.
have a ton of dog trainers, dog behavior consultants, so many dog professionals,
Mm.
and cats are really underrepresented. I talk to people all the time and they say, "Oh, I told my friends that I was hiring a cat behaviorist," and they laugh at me. And I'm like, I don't really understand what's so funny about that because dogs have behaviorists, dogs have trainers.
Yeah.
Why can't cats have trainers and cats have behaviorists working to help them and their people resolve issues the same way
Mm-hmm.
that dogs do?
Mm-hmm.
So, more and more cat related businesses are coming online in the US, which is really great. Those businesses, including mine, they're
Mm,
100% geared towards helping people become better cat guardians and understanding their cat's needs better
mm,
and learning how to meet their needs as
right.
best they can in their environment.
Mm.
So many different businesses out there. We have many different cat cafes in the US, and those businesses are all geared towards helping people make better decisions as cat guardians.
Are those cafes adoption related?
Yes, they are. They're usually adoption related. So they
Oh,
usually partner with a local rescue or humane society, something like that, a shelter, and they bring cats in from those shelters and they're adopted out by people who visit the cat cafes.
huh. I think we can learn from that in Hong Kong because most of the ones, if not all the ones I've been to, are just basically like entertainment related. People are there to have a good time. And from what I know, most of the pets are purebred. So my guess
Mm.
is, oh, there goes another one of my cats. So my guess is probably they were purchased, but that's something, that's something I think that can enlighten a lot of the cat cafe owners here. Maybe they could work with a shelter and get some of those adopted out. That's
Yeah,
very
I'm
interesting.
I'm not aware of any cat cafes here in the United States that have just a set of resident cats. As far as I know, they adopt out the cats from the cat cafe.
Huh. Wow. That's very refreshing because if you go to Singapore, if you go to Japan, Korea, they're like the ones in Hong Kong. Maybe we'll dive into that topic a bit deeper in the
Yes.
future. Another one is how can businesses, in your opinion, foster a community or at least an environment where, say, cat parents can learn from the more seasoned ones? Do you think that's
Mm.
possible to foster that community?
I do think it is possible, especially with social media these
Mm,
days, because there's the ability to make groups online. And for example, I have a Facebook group. Gosh, there's 10,000 people in it, but it's a Facebook group and they're not professionals, but people will come into the group because they have a problem.
mm,
And people who are more seasoned, who have been in the group for a while, often help the newcomers out with their issues.
mm.
And there are moderators who keep an eye on things and who offer advice as well. So it's not just a free for all. There are spaces like that.
Huh.
So social media has really helped with that. And I do think that in the shelter and rescue world, there is opportunity for more seasoned pet parents to help newer pet parents.
Mm,
And this can be done with classes
yeah.
um, or volunteering. So we have a group of volunteers. A lot of shelters in the US are like, they basically run off of volunteer work. I know Furry Friends
Mm,
now has a couple of paid positions, but
right.
most of the people at Furry Friends are completely volunteer.
Mm,
And I know that there's a lot of expertise with the volunteers, and there could be opportunities for workshops or mentoring. So, like a one on one kind of relationship. But that would have to be something set up by each individual organization if it's something that they see a need for and a desire for people to do.
See, that's why I love these conversations is there's always something to learn when you're talking to other businesses or
Yeah.
providers that's overseas. So now the next question has to do with big cities, not
Yeah.
just Hong Kong. Well, I guess Hong Kong in particular, but there's a lot of cities in the States that's like that. For example, New York. where,
Yeah.
it's urban living and sometimes it's pretty restrictive for pets. In your opinion, do you think there's any innovations or any solutions that businesses can offer to cater to the need of urban cats and their parents in cities such as these, us, Tokyo, New York, places that are
Yeah.
jam-packed, everyone's in
Yeah.
apartments?
I think just looking at your apartment, I'm seeing one of the best examples of giving cats vertical space. And in
Thank you.
apartments, high-rise buildings, two-dimensional space is at a premium. But cats
Mm,
don't think in terms of square footage. They think in terms of three-dimensional space.
yeah,
So we really need to cater to that.
yeah.
And there are a lot of businesses I'm seeing that have come up with some really cool ways to give cats three-dimensional vertical space. So Catastrophic Creations is one
Yes.
company. Omelet, it has these wonderful cat trees that are ceiling mounted, so floor to ceiling mounted,
Mhm.
customizable cat trees.
Kinda
Vibe
like this
cats,
one.
like that,
Yeah.
yeah, and it can be like 1 pole or 2 poles or 3
Mm.
poles even,
Oh,
and you can
wow.
put things between the poles. It's really cool. You can design it online,
Oh,
actually.
super cool. It's like you can
It's
Lego it yourself. It's almost like
it's
that. Wow.
really neat. It's really neat. And then Vibe Cats is another company that I've recently fallen in love with. And basically, they just sell modular cardboard boxes that you can put together like with tunnels
Mm.
and you can make it go as high as you want to go. They're nice and sturdy. I have a couple
I
of
think
their
I just
units
saw
in my
one,
house.
right? The
Yeah.
white one that
You
you
want me to
had.
show you?
Yeah, yeah.
This is
It's
a smaller one.
yeah, that is
Um,
so beautiful. See, this
so
is where aesthetics like, for the humans, a lot of people, like, especially, like, in Hong Kong, right? We have small places, but people are willing to spend for things that
yes.
both the human and the cats can use, and something that looks great like that, I think it's gonna fly here for
Yeah.
sure.
Another thing that is really becoming more popular in the United States is the use of catios. And this will
Mm.
be harder in urban settings where like you can't open windows or whatever. But I have a couple of window box catios on my house. And so the cats can just go out the window in their own little enclosed area off the ground.
Mm.
And they can be outside and judge everybody else from their catio. But
Mm.
catios can be as big or as little as you want it to be. They can be freestanding, they could be attached to a window.
Mm.
There's just limitless possibilities with catios, but it gives cats a little bit of the outside, which can be refreshing for a cat who has to be in a small space.
Oh,
So, yeah.
absolutely, and I think even in Hong Kong, like, in the suburbs, they have something called village houses, so they're, like, 3
Mhm.
stories. They're known to have a lot of pets because usually they're pet friendly because 'cause they're almost like single houses, but then I also hear that some people's like, "Oh, I'm still hesitant to let a cat out." So I think the
Yeah.
catios would be perfect. The last question that I have for you is from your expertise, what products, what services are currently, say, unavailable or underrepresented would make the most significant positive impact on cat welfare and the cat human bond? Something that you think can get more of that spotlight. Have you seen anything like that?
For us in the United States, ending cat homelessness is a big goal for
Yeah.
a lot of organizations. So
Yeah.
spaying and neutering is super, super important. It's being pushed all over the place here,
Mm,
making sure that even feral cat communities
yeah.
are getting spayed and neutered, trap, neuter, return,
Mm,
TNR. And I think that for the US, putting forth that cats aren't just cats,
I hear that all the
whatever,
time.
it's just a
Yeah.
cat. I think that by portraying cats in a little bit different light as living beings with individual personalities and giving them the same heart that
Mm,
dogs have in our culture.
yeah.
Um, Again, cats are really underrepresented. They have a reputation as being cold and, like you said, aloof.
Mm,
If we can just get past that and enable people to see that these are living, breathing, sentient animals with personalities and really have a lot to offer in terms of love and affection. I think that we could make a even bigger dent in the homeless pet population, get more cats spayed or neutered, and then we
mhm.
would wind up with homeless cats that are in poor health or getting injured or getting abused. So in my mind, that's what it's been for the US. But I'm not sure what is missing in Hong Kong that you guys
Um,
could
I
benefit
think
from.
you just summarized it, and it loops back to what you said in the beginning. It's
Yeah.
increasing that empathy.
Yeah.
Once that's there, then the awareness is there, and then the welfare will follow. It's the same thing. Here, it's you have a good mix. Our TNR program's pretty strong here, but then there's still a lot of
Mhm.
people who still think cats are just cats, and they don't
Yeah.
think too much of their welfare. So I think you got that spot on. You can teach empathy, especially when you start at a young age. Like with kids, I see a
Yeah.
lot of programs where they're educating kids how to properly handle animals and train
Yeah.
kids to act accordingly so that they don't get hurt, which is great because then the parents don't get scared. They don't get scared. They're more motivated to do it. So it's just a positive
It
feedback loop.
benefits everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
something I guess that we can all learn from and something to look
Yeah.
forward to. So
Yeah.
it looks like we're good for time today. Just want to say thank you once again, Dr. Koski. It's great having you on.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to say, everybody, if you want to learn more from some of the topics that we covered, there's an elaborate version that was on a podcast that me and Dr. Koski did before. And I will link that in the bio so everyone can take a look. Other than that, I just want to say thank you one more time. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. See you soon.